Hi, hello everybody. I'm really happy that I can be here because of all the amazing speakers that were here. Since the very early morning, I'm really enjoying all the talks. So it's really brilliant to be part of it. Together, we'll take a bit of like round trip. So I would like to touch both the topics of like women and tech and back women. So we will see where we get. Let's start. I was introduced a little, so you've heard a bit of me. When like listing my roles, I really enjoy doing many things, which you would really learn when you would be talking to me or anybody who knows me. I really enjoy being a computer scientist, being in research. It's really exciting to be in research because I think that like if you want to be a scientist, be a technology scientist because it's something that is really moving forward in enormous speed. I enjoy being an engineer, so really getting my hands on a real project, which is really fun to do. I have different teams. I have a team on big data, like small teams, 6-7 people. I have my team on software architecture design. I will talk about it. I have some teams within smart cities. And I really enjoy like being in different topics. I'll talk about it again. I'm an educator as well at a university and in Czechitas non-profit organization. And I'm a student and my children are my biggest teachers. So when we look at it, I was thinking that, okay, like this is a forum of women in tech. So we also want to talk about this like role and maybe some kind of experience. So when I look at myself and maybe something that like you experience if you are in tech as well, we indeed are a minority, but it's not a bad thing to be. I think that it actually brings many opportunities to be part of a small group within a bigger. You can learn a lot from the others. Now, what maybe is the thing that is a bit controversial, that it just makes you work harder, as many of you, I think, experienced. For somebody to be forced to work harder is a bad thing. For me, it's the other way around. So I'm actually really happy that I had a reason to work harder, because without that, I wouldn't understood what my capabilities are. And I think that it's actually quite important to understand what you are capable of. So why I was maybe made to work harder, because I myself actually found myself on this like pink line, being lagging behind the others who were around me, and it's actually something that was my own head limitation, so something that I internalized myself, because what I was at is the upper pink line. I just didn't understand that my skills are a bit different from the group that I'm in, and that's why I was thinking that I just need to work harder to improve my skills, to match the crowd which I was at, which is the tech community and the software engineering community. There was a nice question in one of the previous talks. It was a question asking how it feels to be a manager in a male environment and how much respect you are getting. So I find it interesting to comment on it, because this kind of like magic point that I describe here is something that, like, if you reach that magic point, it actually feels great to be in leadership. Because you get a lot of respect and maybe a bit of positive discrimination even, because you have actually gained a lot of respect through your history of working hard and proving to the rest that you can make it, even you're a kind of minority. So it's maybe an interesting insight. You might be wondering, so what's these different skills that you, like, at least I experience when I'm in technology? So one more slide on that, and then we'll move to my field, which is software architecture and smart cities. So my thing was this. So I'm again the pink line, obviously. It is that I'm interested in many topics. And this is something that within my environment, which is the tech environment, it's pretty unusual. So people usually specialize. That's quite natural because this field runs forward really quickly. So when you're, for example, in security, you really need to invest all your effort in security if you want to be expert in security. Otherwise, you start lagging behind, right? So that's what people naturally do. They just stick to one topic and they are real experts on that topic. For me, it was a little different. So when I was a PhD student, I was doing a bit of research in former methods. It was my thing. I was really enthusiastic about that. Then I actually moved to Germany, and I became a performance engineer and a reliability engineer, and I really enjoyed that. And when I came to Australia, I got really excited about cars and embedded software design in cars. And to actually community where I was functioning, this was something like that I'm distracted. I'm not really getting consistent knowledge and results in one field. And to me also, it took some time. And actually, when you see the slide, it actually takes you some time till you reach that magic point where you discover that you have some strengths that you have seen as weaknesses before you got the perspective. But fortunately, that happened. I got the perspective. I understood that, yeah, my skill set is a little different. Maybe I'm better fit for some fields, and I start pursuing a career where I can really see the benefits of like my strengths comparing to my peers. Also, what is this thing of like working harder a little on some things is that I was kind of forced to like bring my peaks higher than I would. Because when you see my situation, then like the performance of researchers, and I'm like spend a lot of time in research, is based on like how high you can get with your peaks, like how like peak knowledge and experience you can get. Okay, so anyway, I'm really grateful for this, and what I came to understand is that there are fields where I can really find this to be my biggest strength, and that is the software architecture design. So what is an architecture? Typically, when you see an architecture of a building, you think about the structure of the building, which is great, that's right, but you usually build a structure for a purpose. So think about the purpose first. So when you have a building, you usually think about, okay, I want an architecture to be nice, right? I also want it to be stable. I also want to make it easy for me to get from maybe kitchen to living room. So accessibility from one point to another. And when you think about it, then actually these quality criteria are the things that drive your decision about what architecture should be. So it's not just structure, it's actually the different purposes blended together and understanding the value of those who are living in the building, because the perfect architecture will be different for different groups of people. And this is what software architecture is about as well. So software architecture is a lot about bringing different skills together. You need to understand how to blend different parts of the system together, how to interconnect them. And you need to have in mind all these different things that make a software system high quality. Like, for example, okay, to make it easy to have quick response when these two parts of the system are interacting, but you don't care that much what is the response when these two parts of the system are interacting. Or in the software system, you want to make it robust, secure, portable, and you usually cannot optimize all these quality criteria, so you need to do this smartly. Also, you can use different programming languages, you can use different frameworks, you can integrate different third-party services. When you want to do this smartly, you really need to understand a bit of cloud technologies and a bit of big data and a bit of artificial intelligence and a bit of everything. And that's actually why I find myself in the right place at the moment, like doing this kind of research and engineering, because then you can understand that where your strengths are. Nowadays, software architectures are not just single buildings. Software architectures are usually whole cities. So it's more like integrating many systems together, not just big pieces together. And cities is a nice topic as such because of the topic of smart cities. Why? In the cities, it's actually really nice to see where the technological innovation can bring us. I know that, like, for all of us, it's sometimes quite difficult to interact with technology because it's really overtaking many activities that we would maybe prefer to do ourselves. But in the cities, you have these wonderful examples where technology can actually help you to use resources more efficiently. So what is a smart city? So the smart city is using technology to actually enable a higher quality of living and also to take big advantage of limited resources that you have available. And I will give you a few examples and tell you a bit about the projects that we've been working on. Overall, within a smart city, we usually speak about smart mobility, smart energy, so energy sustainability and efficient use of energy, about healthcare, about some emergency control, about the quality of the atmosphere, like the air quality. We talk about e-government, so how people can actually engage with what's happening in the city in terms of its management. We are also talking about smart waste management and about the urban plans, also about things that are connected to smart parking and interacting in different ways. So let's look at a few. So I've chosen 3 for you. The mobility is a really exciting one. So what's happening in smart mobility nowadays? Many things. So actually many things are in place already. So even if you look like here in the city of Brno, you can see that I would say level number 1 in smart mobility is that you have some control of sensing what's happening in the city, and you can take immediate action when something happens. So the situation is such that you can monitor what's happening on the crossroads, what's happening in the traffic lights, and you can take immediate action. This immediate actions is, for example, important when you have a tunnel, then when something bad is happening, like the traffic gets stuck, you need to take immediate action. So when you want to do smart mobility, you deploy sensors all over the city. You can have cameras, right? But what's more common, for example, here in the city of Brno, is the induction panels, which we have in front of the crossroad. And this induction panel is actually sensing that there is a car just standing above it. So when you have these panels like close to the crossroad and a little far from it, you can really sense, okay, is there jam? Traffic at the crossroad waiting, and you can switch the traffic light program for like, okay, afternoon or peak or something. So that's happening. That's happening even here in the city. And actually here Siemens is the vendor of this technology. The level 2, what is then happening is like communication. So you want the traffic to have access to communicate with the traffic lights, so that if you have a priority traffic, for example, when you have, for example, the emergency car, it can run through the crossroad with having the green light on, not being forced to run on red light. So that's a great thing. I'm actually lucky to have many colleagues in these different projects. So I have one colleague who is contributing to projects like this in Pittsburgh, where you can actually have this estimation for a bus, whether people will be getting off the bus or not. And if they are getting on the bus and you know that the bus stops in front of the crossroad, you just put a red light on so that you do not block the other direction while the bus is blocking your direction. And if it's the other way around, so you know that nobody's getting off, you want to let the bus run through the crossroad and you put the green light on. And then you need to do actually many things of this, like actually realizing what if the passenger wanted to cross the road, how soon I need to decide that they will have a red light. Because if I decide too late, there might be a counter that is misleading the person who wants to cross the road. So there are these different concerns and consideration which should like show you, and it should be like one of the takeaways of this talk, that there are really different agents and different people and there are players who should be engaging in designing the technology so that we really design the cities that we want to live in. The third level, so we were talking about like crossroad to car communication is car-to-car communication, and there are really cool things happening nowadays in car-to-car communication, where like with the autonomous driving cars, for example, you really want to actually think about two cars communicating with each other and maybe informing each other about the traffic situation, maybe even deciding whether they want to trust each other or not. And these are really cool research things that many people are looking into. And this is like a bit more further from deployment, but we have many progressive cities that are taking smart mobility forward. One cool area is the energy. Like smart energy is really huge, and like it's one of my really big topics because this is really an example showing you that, okay, we have some limited possibilities of the infrastructure and resources that we have. We really need to be smart and consuming our limited resources wisely, and all of us actually building a community that can interact and collaborate on being wise on consuming the resources. Thanks to this like smartness in the energy grid, we can, for example, integrate the renewable resources. What is the reason why it wasn't possible before? It's because the energy grid is actually have some limited capacity and limited ways of transferring the energy. In the previous times where you had like these big power plants, you could actually kind of regulate how these power plants are producing the energy. But nowadays, when you have many renewable resources, you cannot really say in advance that it will be sunny, it will be windy. And what if I now have a lot of energy and nobody to consume it? Or the other way around, I rely on renewable energy and there is no wind or no sun. So now we actually need to start being smarter. So first thing is that, again, like we work with a lot of sensors. I'm in a team that is designing the technology. So we work with energy distribution companies, and we discuss a lot how the smart meters in the households should be designed. But it's not just a thing that you monitor what's going on. One of the big things, and what I really like about this topic, is to engage people to actually help you. Because if you need the energy to be consumed in certain times, you also need people who will be willing to consume energy. Then there will be maybe some times where you want to kind of, make the people understand that it's better not to consume that much energy at that moment. And you know that this is happening in Czech Republic with this like water heaters that you can kind of like shift the usage of energy used for heating the water to the hours where it's actually the situation that there is surplus of energy and you want this energy to be used. But we are taking it further and we are discussing how to do this effectively. Also, when you imagine there's some cool research happening in the cars, the electric cars, like how to motivate people to charge their cars when there is surplus of energy, and then actually how to maybe get energy back from the cars when you need it. So it's really like back to grid direction, where you take the energy from the battery of the car because you need it on the grid. So really like funny, interesting things, and they are enormous about smart buildings. So when I was in Germany, we were having a living lab, we called it living lab, where you could experiment with all the technology that you can have in building. And that's actually a great thing again to have, because there's not just the energy sustainability, but also assistance, for example, to elderly people who want to have that independence, living on their own, but need some kind of assistance. So great thing happening. Let's move forward. So what is important is that we need everybody to take part in designing the technology for the future, because we need all of you to be participating in what kind of cities we will be living in. You know, obviously, that we do not want to have technology deployed in places where it's really a burden to us. We really need technology to bring us value. And that's why it's actually important to engage everybody and not really say, okay, it's a job of this small group of engineers that will take care of it. We need everybody on board. So how to help people to actually have technology as their interest, that they would really like to contribute, they would really like to join tech fields, even that they maybe study something totally different. And that's something that I'm trying to do as one of my activities, and that's connected to Czechitas, which was on the first slide, and which is a non-profit organization that is bringing girls in technology and trying to also influencing other people to understand that technology is not a closed field where nobody is welcome, but is an open field where everybody should feel welcome, and actually everybody, at least once in their life, should try to enter and look around. So when you look at like people, why we do not really have that many girls in technology, it's maybe because they simply lack the courage when they are not surrounded by their tribe. And that's what we are trying to change in Czechitas. We are trying to actually create this environment, safe environment where girls can try out and can play with technology, surrounded by somebody who is really like-minded, so that they feel that they belong. This is one of the studies which was describing the reasons. So we are thinking about creating this different kind of environment for trying out technology and finding out if it's a good fit for you. And in this environment, one of the most important things is to actually create this community where you really have many people trying to learn, and many people who are trying to help you. And that's why all these activities have become our main focus. We have influenced more than 8,000 girls who became part of the community and are learning with us. I invite you, if you haven't tried any of our workshops, just come and try it. And if you already are in tech, come in and become our heroes in the blue t-shirts. These are the guys who are helping. They are 60% guys, 40% girls, really helping others to learn. And like bringing this community together, somebody who wants to learn and how about somebody who wants to help in teaching, is really powerful, because I think that these people who help us with teaching and who are IT professionals by day, but our heroes by night and by weekends, is really powerful also for changing the atmosphere in companies when welcoming newcomers. And it's not just them, we are influencing also children, influencing teachers. We have educated hundreds of elementary school teachers and thousands of children. So if you do not know these activities, there is a possibility just out of this door to learn more about it, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We'll be really happy if you are interested in joining or learning more about it. Thank you.
Okay, this was inspiring, like throughout, like all different topics, and I think we all have a lot to digest as well, and hopefully ask you. I was just wondering, which are some of the smartest cities in the world, or maybe the cities that you have visited?
Yeah, actually there are like many cities. Like there are many cities in the US. Like US is really progressive. US and Asia, like Japan, for example. In the US there are like a couple of in California. I wouldn't dare to say this particular city is the one, but there are a couple of. And then like each of the cities taking different approach. So for example, New York is experimenting and really having a safe network for communication of all these different services. And there are like other cities like this, Pittsburgh is doing a lot about traffic and smart mobility. And in California, there are actually many who are experimenting with these things. And then really like Japan, like these countries are really progressive. But I think that they can learn from each other. Everybody is like taking one direction. And if you were interested, what about Brno? Then Brno, I don't know if you know the data.brno.cz platform. It's a really cool thing. We are now in cooperation making the data from the city available so that you can actually play with the data sets. And that's really cool because there's a lot of data in the city about the citizens, about what's happening in the city, about the traffic, about the like parks and everything. And there's a lot to come, hopefully. There are cool people involved in this city project, and I'm part of it as well, a little.
Okay, questions for Bára. We are ready. How about you guys? Yes.
Thank you, Bára. Very, very good speech. About the future smarter cities, so you said one thing is educate the people, we become aware. You mentioned a bit about Brno and other countries like Japan or Pittsburgh in US. What about in Czech Republic, local governments? How are they welcoming, or how are they preparing themselves for these changes, for the smarter cities in the future?
Yeah, like in Czech Republic, it's moving forward. So what we see is that some cities are actually like taking on ride. So like Brno has just like this year established a kind of like council for smart cities. So they have it. So at least somebody is responsible for that, which is great. Like Prague has it also on a couple of places. We did like interviews of different cities, like big cities, small cities, and they have different priorities. So like in the bigger cities, it's like first of all to get the data about what's happening in the city. So that's what Brno is doing now. It's actually creating this open data platform, and I think this is a great approach actually to understand what data you have available so that you can help citizens in doing smart things. Sometimes you have these cities like that they are trying to be cool, so it's like a cool parking app, but sometimes it's not what people really need. On small cities, they are even having this smartness with the waste management, for example. So there are different activities, but they are very individual. Like every city is taking different approach. And somebody wants to be cool, somebody is more looking into like building fundamentals to build upon the smartness later. So it's different.
Okay, another one.
Oh, thank you, Bára, for this awesome presentation. I really like the topic. And I would ask specifically about Brno. How long it will take to transform Brno to a smart city from your point of view, according to challenges you already have currently?
Yeah, it's a very good question. So there are these different directions. So there is e-government, right? It's a big topic, and it's like, people are trying out to like push this through to make things electronic. And I think it just takes ages to make this like electronic exchange really reality. Then there is the thing of the transport. For example, the transport, you have city companies for different things. So like the city of Brno has 10 city companies. So it has a company taking care of the waste management, then for lighting, then for other things. And they even have plans to actually give some budgets to these companies to engage with universities and try to create some kind of like 10-year plan for what innovations could be brought into the city within some of these like time scale. So they are thinking about it. Like we are having this kind of like talks and thoughts. We will see how the companies approach it. I think that like if there are good innovative people in the companies, then like the city is supporting it. But usually it really takes time and you really need good engaged people. So in this data.brno.cz, there is a great guy and great team managing this project. That's why they are pushing the things forward, and I think they are really doing well. For the other companies, we will see. Let's hope that we like get involved in some of these projects as well, and we will push it forward. But I think it's a good way to actually take the company and say like, go and talk to universities, go and talk to these like fresh minds, young people who can think out of the box, and that's what the city of Brno wants to do. So hopefully, it's like we will see some effects of that.
We have time for one more question.
Yeah.
Do we need the mic for the video, or yeah? Okay.
Thank you. Okay. Hopefully, everybody. Okay. So following that, you said that it's taking time. Does it work? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Apply all of those principles in order to make the smarter quotation marks and
and apply some sort of infrastructure so we can get the data, and we can get the data from which we can actually read something viable that we can use. Do you think it's because or for example, when you said the city of Brno really wants to do this, do you think they want to do this, they want to achieve this, but they don't know how because there is a lack of experts in this field in Czech Republic, or do you feel it just takes long because it's something completely new?
Yeah, it's again like very, very good question. Like what I see when we, for example, talk about this data is people are usually they need you to come with a good example of something existing so that they feel engaged. And it's all about this like people engagement, really on the right places, even in the city. So that's why it's really important that like we all also get educated what benefits it can have for us, because that's what like people from the city are also telling us. So they said, yeah, we need to digitalize the data first, so we have the data in paper form often. But when we come to somebody and say, hi guys, so now we will be digitizing your data, they are like, whoa, can you just figure out some different like work to do and not bother us? But when you come to them and say, look, like for these other guys, we have digitalized their data and we are having great effects and having really great, like things that we can figure out from this. You motivate other people to actually trigger this snowball of the willingness to participate. You need a lot of willingness to participate to push these activities forward. Which often, like in these cities and in these like governmental institutions, it just takes some effort to have really people on board with digitalization, with technology. But let's see. So far with this like data platform, it looks really good. So I have the best of expectations that it might look better in the future.
So I guess we are all interested in flexibility of government. Thank you, Bára, very much. This working wisdom will be here for the after party. Bára Bühnová.